So I've got a few trees that need to be replanted, like this peach that I've got here, which is just starting to bloom, and I've got this olive here, and I've got this rose here. I know rose isn't a tree, but I want to plant this and bonsai this rose. So what I've decided to do is build some grow out boxes. So I had been doing a bunch of research about this because, like, whatever, I'm a novice. And I found that some people are building these grow out boxes. So these are just made out of this, like, cedar fence picket. They're stupid cheap at your big box store, right? And you can build them. I call these 2-slat, right? So this is a 2-slat box. So these are about 5.5 inches deep. And you can see it's got like a good size on here. I'm going to use this for the olive tree that you saw earlier. And then this, I'm calling a 3-slat box, right? Which, and you can see this one's already finished and lined. And this one is unlined. I just finished this one a little bit ago, right? And this one is the one that I'm currently working on. So let me tell you about how I built these and like kind of what goes into them, right? So this is a 3-slat is 5 18-inch cedar fence boards, like cut to 18 inches, and then 2 16 inches. This is half a 2x4 because that's the scrap wood that I had available. And then these legs, which are just made out of like 1x2, and these arms, which are just made out of 1x2. And if you notice, like this leg here and this arm here are made out of different like 1x2 material. And the reason why is that even though the fence boards, these were left over from a different project, right? And then the rest of the like legs and handles, because this is a handle for you to pick it up with, are made out of whatever scrap wood I have. So this is like, I don't know, 1.5 by 1. This is like 1x3 that's rounded. That's like a piece of trim. This is just like a weird piece of plywood that I found, right? And then so what I'm doing is I cut all these beforehand. So you cut 5 of the 18-inch boards and 2 of the 16-inch boards. And then I cut the 2x4 just to like length. So it's the same length, right? And then you just cut it in half, right? So it's like, 2x4, cut it in half. Like that. These ones here, all of these ones, and this box that I'm in the middle of, so you can see this panel and this panel are not finished yet. Those I cut with a skill saw, and I have a chop saw that I use to cut the 2x4s in half. However, this bottom one down here that I have, which is the first one, I finished this last night because I had never built something like this before, so I wanted to like test it out. This one here, I did entirely with a hand saw. So I used no power tools in the construction of it except for a drill, right? And for that, I just use pre-drill a hole with one of these like little hole pre-drill boys like this in my standard drill. And then I'm using my hammer drill to drive them. And I'm using 1 5/8 construction screws. They're the star head kind, which is like the best kind of screw you can possibly use, in my opinion. That's just like my opinion about this. And then I have a sander. I did not use my sander last night because that makes noise. And it was like a little late and I wasn't trying to use power tools for stuff that like I didn't need to. So what I have is an old, like the bottom of an old sander. My old one of these burned out. And so I took it apart after it burned out, and I took the like little mount out of it and then just like drove 4 screws through the center holes into just a block of wood so you can like grab it and sand with it. And now I can just hand sand stuff. Let me tell you, this thing is like it's like one of the most, I use this tool almost more often than I actually use my power sander. And then I just used a standard hand saw to cut all the stuff. This is just like a nice speed hand saw that I got about a year ago or whatever. And just screw all that stuff together. So the benefit of doing this is it gives you a fairly large area to grow out. So when I'm growing out a tree in bonsai, right, the idea is to grow the tree out like you plant it in the ground, and then you like put a block of wood, like a brick or something like that underneath it, right, in order to let it grow thicker in diameter without causing the roots to go deep, because you want to kind of teach the roots to like spread out or whatever. And I found these people online talking about building grow boxes for that are like shallow, right? But still deeper than like, because this is like way deeper than you would do a traditional bonsai, right? But you want it to still be relatively shallow, right? But also have enough soil to really let it grow out, to teach the roots to grow like that. So you build this out of these. Now, cedar is naturally gonna like not rot or decay as quick as like a yellow pine or some like a trashy or wood or whatever. So these are gonna decay. As far as I'm aware, and when I've looked up, these should last like 2 to 3 years. This is a 5/8 cedar picket. It's not an inch wide cedar picket, so these are a little bit narrower than what other people are using. So this should last 2 or 3 years or whatever. And by that point in time, after 2 or 3 years, that's when you're going to want to replant it anyway or repot it anyway. So that's perfect. These will last as long as need be. And then any of like the fasteners and stuff like that, I'll just be able to pull them out because they're screws, pull them out and reuse them, right? So you can see in my 2 here, in my little 2-panel boy here. So this guy, I'm using 12-inch. So this is 12 and 11, if I remember correctly, right? And it's the same thing, right? You want legs, right? Which are just going to help it drain better through the bottom, and then handles so that way you can like pick it up and move it around. And then just to prevent soil from falling out, this is just like regular window screen material. I had a roll of this, and as you can see, I just stapled it in. It's not tight or anything fancy like that. It's just enough to keep the soil from falling out when you pack this in like this. So highly recommend. I've had a great time doing this. It's a super simple project. It uses like 3 fence pickets and like a little bit of scrap 2x4. And as you can tell, I'm using a lot of scrap wood. So I didn't have to go out to buy any of this wood. This is all just like leftover wood from other projects and scrap wood. Even if you had to buy everything brand new, you can build one of these for like maybe $15 right now here in Northern California worth of lumber for the pickets and such like that. You know, these pickets like this and such like that. Totally worth it. Super easy. If you have like a little bit of construction skill using a drill and stuff like that, it's entirely approachable. And what it's allowed me to do is build out larger grow boxes without having to go with something deep or like construct something like clay or cement or any of those other materials that I'm not as skilled with as I am with wood. So stay along with me, and I'm definitely going to do a video for the planting and for the trimming of those trees. And yeah, we'll move forwards from there.